everybody, how you all doing today? Christian here. Welcome to another video today, you dudes. And this has been something I've been kind of mentioning I want to start trying to do on my channel. We're still going to be doing shiny hunting. We're still going to be doing let's plays. That's not going anywhere. But I have asked you guys ideas, and I have asked if you guys want to see me do deck profiles for Magic the Gathering. For any of my longtime viewers, if you guys know me for a long as while, I did used to play this game quite a bit ago before the Konono happened, and I had to get rid of my Magic cards, unfortunately, because of money issues. We all know how that was fun is. But ever since the pandemic calmed down a little bit, I begun to slowly but surely try to get back myself into back into Magic, and I'm really happy to do that because when I've been having an absolute blast playing the game again, dudes. It felt really good rekindling my friendship with my longtime friends, going to my locals, playing Magic, and I've also been going to other locals as well too, with playing Commander more often, and I've just been having an absolute blast. And due to personal reasons, my very first deck was the Dragon deck. If you guys are longtime viewers, you guys know how much I've always loved dragons, and back in my Yu-Gi-Oh days, I definitely specialized, do a lot of dragon decks too. And I just have like a great personal attachment with Dragon. It's really the first ever Commander deck I've ever put together back when the Dragon Commander deck came out in 2017. And ever since I got back into Magic, and ever since I've been looking up tips and advice from my friends and other people how to improve my deck, I've definitely taken to heart how to improve this deck quite a bit. Especially right as I thought the deck was done, Tarkira Dragon Storm came out, and I was like, well crap, I gotta retool this deck again even more. But as painful as it was, I'm very glad I did. This is not the final build. It's not perfected. It's not up to the full-on standards I want with the deck, at least quite not yet. But for what it's got going for it, it is really powerful. It definitely has potential to be definitely a nuisance to the hands of the right people. And I just absolutely love the fact that you can just spam out dragons like there's no tomorrow in the hands of this person right here. So without further ado, let's get right straight into the deck profile. So before we go to the deck, as you guys already saw, our commander of the deck is going to be the Dragon. And I got the special foil version of him. He's so cool. I love this artwork right here. Now, obviously, every person who's played Magic and their grandmas obviously know what this card does. But for the rare amount of you guys who don't know what this bad boy does, this is the Dragon. He is currently the #1 most popular commander right now for a reason for regular EDH. He even outthrew Atraxa of all commanders. So what he does is he has evidence, which means that his ability will always will always be active, even if he's in command zone or on a battlefield. He reads that as long as this guy is in your command zone or on a battlefield, all your dragons cost 1 less to cast. He also has flying, and whenever you whenever you attack with your dragons, you draw that many cards for each attacking dragon, and you drop 1 permanent card of your choice from hand onto the battlefield. Now remember, it has to be specifically a permanent card. So unfortunately, you can't cast instants or sorceries free of charge of him. But what people don't know about this, and I will confess and admit this too, what people do sometimes forget about him is, remember, he says any permanent. So obviously you're going to be mainly dropping obviously big dragons with him, but you could drop planeswalkers, you could drop artifacts, you could drop enchantments, and if you want to be that guy and make like a weird anti-meta build, Dragon build, where you mix in Dragon and dragons and non-dragons, which I've seen some people do that, and I'm thinking about trying that out a little bit. But anyways, if you want to tech in non-dragons in this deck, he can theoretically make it work. So you can drop like Brightsteel Colossus or Progenesis with him, and when you do that, it is hilarious what you just drop out of him with his ability. So he's just really fun. You don't really care if you cast him really that often. There are ways you can do it. It's not the hardest thing ever, but most of the time you don't really care about really casting him unless you have the right opportunity to do that. you just want him in your command zone to obviously make your dragons cheaper. But if you do drop him and you have the right setup, he can help you get your dragons going out really crazily. And even if your opponent does eventually kill him, and even if he comes to the point where he becomes way too costly to bring up from the command zone again, as long as Dragon is able to do his job and bring out like at least 3 dragons total or so, or 3+ dragons total or so, before he goes bye-bye permanently, he's pretty much done his job and then some. So I just love this card so much, and I'm really glad I have it back in my possession again. And especially in this nice little foil I got him. Before we get the creatures, let's get the lands out of the way real quickly. I want to get the minor stuff out of the way. I don't want this video to be too long than it needs to be. I'll try not to dilly-dally too much if I can help it. Bear with me again. So for the lands, we have the obvious stuff. We have all your... Oops, I got some of my cards mixed up. Oh shoot, here we go. So, oh shoot, I got my cards mixed up. Uh-oh. I done goofed. Screw it, we'll keep it in the video, whatever. Anyways, we have obviously your 5, or not, your 10 fetch lands. No explanation why this is important, why you need all 10 of them. You're playing WooBird, you're playing all 5 colors, so unfortunately, if you do want to play all 5 colors, you do gotta play your 10 fetches. Unfortunately, it is what it is. It is a bummer, but again, what you gotta do? Thankfully, they have gone down in price quite a bit, so they're not as hard as they used to be, say, like compared to something silly as just last year. I remember a majority of them used to be like near the 50s, even at the cheapest dollars. But recently, they have gone down in price, except for the cards like, unfortunately, Verdant Catacombs, for example. That's still like at least $20 at the cheapest side. But aside from that, majority of the other fetch lands are actually not too bad. So it is easier to build WooBird color than it's ever been before, but it can be a little bit difficult, and I can understand why that discourages people. And then, of course, as expected, again, as I explained earlier, you're playing WooBird, so you are going to need, unfortunately, all 10 different shock lands. I can't afford dual lands quite, the big special dual lands quite yet. This is still kind of a little bit casual-ish deck. Maybe down the road, if I ever want to do more competitive, I'll definitely take the shock lands out for the big dual lands, but it is what it is if I don't. Shock lands will do the job just fine. I know you can get away with not playing any basics when you're playing WooBird, but I decided to play at least some basics. You never know when your opponent is going to have a Path of Exile. You never know when your opponent is going to have Sell the Wreckage or Assassin's Trophy. So in case that happens, you have some basics just in case. And plus, it's nice to have a little backup. It's going to get to a point where your opponents are going to be on your back when your life total becomes too low, where you can't always pay for the shock lands as much no more. So when that happens, you'll have to resort to your basics, which is not as bad as you think. Grabbing all basic with a fetch land isn't always as terrible as you may think. It does save your life. They do come to the battlefield without being tapped, and you could just immediately tap them with the right color. I thought about playing Rampant Growth in this deck, because I am running a small land ramp package. I'm running 3 total, which I'll show you very soon. I am thinking about putting one more, just so I can have 4 ways to get out my lands on the battlefield. And having 4 like Rampant Growth is definitely a nice, interesting tech. But I don't know, I don't see myself really needing it that much. Maybe within some few test plays, I might give it a whirl, but we'll see what happens. I am playing my Atraxa Infect, but I'm not really doing that with my dragons. I should be, maybe I shouldn't, maybe we'll see for our test plays. But for right now, we'll go with the rest of the lands. We are playing a couple Triome lands. Only 3. I've seen a lot of people do 4, 5, and I've even seen people do all 10, which I get it. Having access to your colors means a lot to me, to us. Also, before I go any further, you may have noticed that I'm playing only one of each of these basics, but I'm playing 2 of each of Forest and 2 Mountains. The reason why I'm doing that is because this is a dragon deck. The majority of your dragons that you're playing with the deck are red. You're more focused towards your red colors. So because of that, that's why we play an extra mountain, and we need the green in order to get out our lands and get out our dragons a little bit faster. So that's why our colors are a little bit more focused towards red green a little bit more, and that's why we play these 3 triomes only. These 3 triomes have red green, and each of them have like another color. So, and the reason, back to what I was trying to say earlier, why I only play 3 triomes instead of 4 or more like I've seen some people do, a lot of times you want to be able to bring out your dragons. And don't get me wrong, the triomes giving you 3 colors instead of 2 like shocks is really helpful, but unlike shocks that can always come in untapped as long as you're willing to pay 2 life, triome lands, no matter what you do, unless someone happens to have a card effect that says otherwise, these triomes will always come in tapped. So because of that, you can't really afford a lot of triomes in this deck. You don't want to clog up your deck with too many triomes too much. Well, I've noticed with my play experience, 3 is just fine. 3 gets a job just fine. Like I said, you're more focused on red-green anyways, so the 3 will get you your red-green while giving you one of each of the other additional colors you need. And you're playing fetches, you're playing land cards that allow you to search out your lands, and generally you'll use those specific cards to bring out these instead, unless you need the shocks to pay the 2 life to go on tap, and this just gets the job done as it is. So yeah, don't need to clog your deck with too many tap lands. You really want to be able to bring out your dragons as soon as you can. The longer you dilly-dally with playing your dragons, I've noticed, the harder it's going to be for you to stand up to your opponents, especially if they start building hard. And the rest of the lands, it's pretty much simple stuff. We have lands that say they tap for any color. We have your typical standard stuff. Command Tower, Cavern of Souls, Path of Ancestry. I couldn't really find room for Exotic Orchard. I really want to play Exotic Orchard. I thought about it. But I think I took out Exotic Orchard. Oh, no, I apologize. I do have Exotic Orchard. Whoops, I accidentally lied. My apologies. And then just 2 cards that say that they, or I'm sorry, 3 cards that say they tap for any colors for specifically dragons, and all that such. And then the last lane we're playing, wrapping up to a total of 38 lands. We are playing 1 Mistrise Village. It's not a bad card. I haven't really used the ability to make my next spell uncounterable. I haven't really used it too often. I think I've only used it once recently, and that was really it. It's just like a really nice backup in case you don't have your Cavern of Souls, and if you want to be able to cast something really big, especially your commander, without having to worry about your commander being counterable. It's a nice little backup hat, but obviously occasionally you want to use the Cavern of Souls for that. Although it is a nice, really interesting tech to use if you have Cavern of Souls and Misty together, so that way you could just do something funny like make your Dragon uncountable, and then make another that use it with Cavern of Souls, and then use this bring out your Scion Dragon, make him uncounterable. Watch all the blue players be like, what the fuck? It's really funny when situations like that happen sometimes. I haven't gone through that yet. But if it does happen one day, I'll be sure to let you guys know, and I'm sure we will all have one heck of a huge laugh. Alright, and uh-oh, I dropped the card. Oh no, we saved it. We're good. Yep, we're good. What's the hopefully, nah, we'll keep it in. Alright, so before we get to the meat and potatoes, the dragons, we just gotta show off a few non-dragon. We are at the Planeswalker and creatures now, but we're just gonna show like a few non-dragon stuff, the 1 Planeswalker, and a few non-dragon creatures, and then we'll get to the piece of resist on so you guys really are here for. So we are playing 1 Planeswalker right now at the moment. We're playing Sarkhan Fireblood. He has the ability to +1 him to either discard a card, draw a card. I can either +1 him to, or I can +1 him, which is the main thing I use him for. I can use his other +1 ability to add 2 mana of any color, spend his mana, only cast Dragon Tokens. He's got a nice ultimate. He does create some Dragon Tokens if you ever pop out the ultimate, but we don't really care for the ultimate. It's a nice addition added onto it if it happens to come up. There has been a few times where I have popped off his ultimate, but not really that often. even the moments where I do have the opportunity to pop off his ultimate, a lot of times I just keep him around for his first 2 abilities. Being able to discard your cards you need to leave, especially your basics, draw up your deck, and make your dragons easier to cast is always going to be very helpful. And like I said with the Ur Dragon, if the opponent kills Fireblood Sarkhan and not my other dragons, as long as Sarkhan was able to bring out at least 3 dragons total or so, he's pretty much done his job before he dies. And I usually laugh at my opponents when they kill Sarkhan instead of like something really good like a Urani or a Scion Ur Dragon. And then the next turn, when my turn comes, I pop off with those dragons, and my opponent's like, "Fuck! I should have killed that dragon instead." And I'll be like, "Yep." And that's the only Planeswalker we're really playing right now at the moment. Now we're finding the creatures. Before we get the dragons, I do want to show off the non-dragons. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 4 non-dragons out of the entire creature lineup. So speaking of Sarkhan, we have Sarkhan, Soul of Flame. I absolutely love this card. Now, I don't play Dragon Speaker Shaman. I don't play Dragon Lord Servant. I don't play Urza's Incubator, I think it's called, because Ur Dragon by himself is already doing the job of doing the reduction for you. Don't get me wrong, the additional ability to reduce my dragon's casting cost a little bit more cheaper is nice as it is, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, as nice those reducers really are, you could be using those slots in the deck could be more reserved for what's even more important, where your deck really needs even more, like target removal or board wipes, or actually dragons that can get the job already thanks to just having the 1 reduction by Ur Dragon. So I don't really play that many reducers, but Sarkhan, Soul of Flame, he is the one exception. He is the only reducer I do run in my Ur Dragon deck besides Ur Dragon, because why do I say Scion? Because Sarkhan also has the additional ability to make it more worth it in the deck. He also has the additional ability of when you cast a dragon, he also becomes that dragon as well, with his name still being Sarkhan. So you could have, like, for the turn, become a second Ur Dragon. You could have him become a second Urani, a second Scourge of Flame, a second Terror of the Peaks, a second Old Gnawbone, and you could just start popping off your combos right off the bat, especially if you drop something really good right next to your Sarkhan, Soul Flame, and you could just pop out to your thing. So that's why he's the only mana cost reducer I use in my dragon deck besides Ur Dragon, because Ur Dragon does the job as it is. Dragon Lord Servant, Dragon Speaker Shaman, and Urza's Incubator don't really cut it as well as they used to. And then the rest of the creatures, non-dragon creatures, we have the obvious stuff. We have Birds of Paradise, no explanation. Delighted Halfling. I was playing Dead Claw Shaman, I think his name is. I can't say his name right. Apologies if I get his name wrong. Deathrite Shaman, I think it's called. Yeah, I prefer Deathrite Shaman over him, to be honest. But the reason I use Delight Halfling right now at the moment is because a lot of people who I'm playing at my locals actually don't use that many decks, believe it or not. Even the 2-color, 3-color decks, believe it or not. There's not really too many people I've noticed that get their lands in the graveyard. So because of that, it becomes an annoying situation where you don't always get a fetch land or shock land or a land that you exile with Shaman's ability to give you the mana. So because of that, I have to resort to use a Delightful Halfling. It's not a terrible card. If I use him to bring out a legendary card, it taps for any mana for that legendary, and it becomes uncountable. So there is advantage of Delightful Halfling over Deathrite Shaman, but I like Deathrite Shaman more because it's more versatile. He does not only other things besides give you mana, but unlike Delightful Halfling, who only cares for legendary stuff, otherwise he casts for colorless, Deathrite Shaman gives you any mana no matter what, with the only drawback is you got exile land. And unfortunately, not too many opponents I play these days don't have too many shocks and fetch lanes these days, believe it or not, until I go like somewhere really further. If this was a bracket 4 deck or something, I would definitely be playing Deathrite Shaman over this, but Delightful Halfling does get the job done as it is. And speaking of replacing someone with something, I was playing Bloom Tender for the longest while, but recently I took out Blue Tender surprisingly for Razaz of the Claw, believe it or not. Now, Bloom Tender is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Tapping him to give you literally Wooburg mana when you have your other stuff going is super awesome. But the problem with Bloom Tender is, in order to give you that full benefit of give you that 5 or so Wooburg mana or something like that, you need to be able to have your permits on the board already. And unfortunately, there are going to be some rare times where Bloom Tender, you're not going to be able to get your other colors. So a lot of times he gets stuck with only tap rolling green mana or green and blue mana, and that's it, because that's all you have is green red. You don't get your green red. I'm sorry, let's say red. You don't have your additional color. You can't tap it for additional colors because you don't control other permanents that has that colors. So unfortunately, because of situations like that, and he becomes an easy target removal for my opponents, I don't often play Blue Tender, and this is why I replaced him with Raza the Claw recently. For those guys who don't know why Raza is a new card, new-ish to me that I started using again. For those of you guys who don't know, he is 1 mana more than Blue Tender, but his other abilities mix up way more to make it a more better candidate than Blue Tender. What he does is you can tap him to add 2 mana of any color like Sarkhan, spend this mana only to cast dragon spells. So without having any other permanents, and you're more focused on playing dragons anyways, you have your instantly ability to get your 2 mana to be able to cast your dragon spells, and on top of that, he also has the additional ability where once per turn, you could cast if you were to cast a dragon normally, you can cast it from your graveyard if needs be. Now granted, it has the downside of that dragon, if it would be killed, it would be permanently exiled, unfortunately. But a lot of times you're using these dragons for one more, if that ever happens, you're using them for one more time to do something big in particular. So it definitely mixes up way more for having Blue than over Bloom Tender, honestly. So he gets the job just fine as it is. And the last for the mana recrusion, this is the one dragon we are going to show before we get to the dragon section. We have Scaled Tarn. So he normally costs 2, but thanks to Earth Dragon, he only costs 1 instead. He only taps for green, but if the mana is spent to cast a dragon creature spell, you gain 2 life. So this gives you a little bit of life gain as well. You're playing mostly green and red, so the green mana over having anything like Birds of Paradise is definitely worth it. So he gets the job pretty done as it is. So yeah, I like him. And that is it for the Dragon Supporter card. Now for the main meat and potatoes you guys are finally here for. The big dragons. So we have a second choice of a commander, but typically he's in the 99. I thought about making a deck of him, and I want to someday. This is Scion of the Ur Dragon. Unfortunately, he's the only dragon in this deck that does not get the mana reduction, unfortunately, by the Ur Dragon himself, because he doesn't have a colorless cause. But what he does for this deck makes up more for that. Obviously, every Magic Gathering player who's been playing Magic since 2013 obviously know who he does. But the rare amount of you who don't know, what he does is, when he's on the battlefield, you can tap 2 of anything, send a dragon creature from your deck to the graveyard, and when you do, Scion becomes that dragon until end of turn. So if there's any dragons you're struggling to get, if there's any dragons you need for the right opportunity to do something big or drastic, especially if you need mana, especially if you want to bring out more dragons, Scion can immediately become that dragon. And there's even silly rulings that you can use his ability twice at once, so he can transfer 2 different dragons at once. And anyone who's played Scion knows that there's combos where you can send multi-Steel Dragon and Skithiryx to the deck at once to do the infamous Skithiryx Scion Ur Dragon combo. It's funny even to this day. I'm not playing multi-Steel Dragon right now, not really necessarily. It does require annoying setup, so unfortunately I'm not doing the combo right now. I did it before, I pulled it out before, and it was so satisfying when I killed someone with Infect, Molten, and this guy together. It was the funniest thing ever. but I haven't really done it in a long time. I've only done it like one time, and a lot of times I just use Scion for like other big combos here and there. But he is super fun, and I am thinking about making a commander deck with evolving him someday in the road. And then next up we have Dragonborn Champion. Whenever source you control deals 5 or more damage, it's not just her, it's any type of source that does. So it could be your other dragons, if you have like other burn spells or anything related to such. As long as you do at least 5 or more damage, it doesn't matter if it's combat or burn damage, as long as you do 5 or more damage, you get to automatically draw a card. And this is what this dragon needs. Now unfortunately, Dragonborn Champion and Scaled Nuturu are unfortunately the only 2 dragons in this deck that don't have flying. So that is very important, because you have cards like Dragon Tempest that you typically want to give your dragons flying with, but what we all gotta remember is Dragon Tempest says flyers gain haste, not dragons gain haste, unfortunately. So and I will admit this, there are silly moments where I did hardcaster thinking I was gonna kill Silver Game because I have Dragon Tempest. I cast Dragonborn Champion, I'm gonna attack with oh wait, that's right, Dragon Tempest says flyers gain haste, not dragons. Fuck. Oh, it was so disheartening. So it is something you definitely gotta remember, but thankfully you have other big beefy fat dragons that also do the job, big damage. So you will if this gets set up right, you will definitely get your ability to draw a card if you can with her. And next up we have Zergo and Ojutai. I absolutely love this card. What this card does is whenever a dragon deals is it combat damage or attack? Yeah, combat damage. I thought so. So whenever a dragon, one or more dragon deals combat damage, for every time a dragon does combat damage, you get to look at top 3 cards, top of your library, and choose one of them to go to your hand while the rest go to bottom of your deck. For every time a dragon does that. So this can allow you to do a lot of crazy control draws, and this can definitely let you set up, do a lot of big combo plays next turn. Even if your opponent does kill it, it does have hexproof when you first bring out, so you don't have to worry about like a Path of Exile or nothing, provided they don't have a counter. As long as they don't have a counter, you don't have to worry about like a Path of Exile. Just summon your Ojutai, swing with Ojutai. If you get another dragon, awesome, attack with them as well. And then you can start getting some value off of them really quickly and start settling your combo plays really fantastically. And next we have Puppet Thrasher. It's not a bad card, it's not terrible. I do like him because, thanks to Ur Dragon, he only costs 3 mana. So he is a 4/3 right off the bat for only 3 mana, which is not terrible. He's got some nice abilities where he can destroy artifacts and deal 4 damage or something you need to be. And he's got a nice ability where you can exile 2 cards on top of your library and potentially use them. That doesn't really come often. I haven't really used that yet. But what I do mostly use him for is the fact that he's a nice 3-dropper that can kill artifacts if need be without spending any important resources. So he's not terrible. He gets the job just fine, but probably arguably one of my weakest dragons, along with another card I'm about to show you guys. And then next up we have Vengeful Ancestor. Kind of, again, pretty on the weak side. It's a 3/4 dragon, but it does have the nice ability of whenever you cast him or swing with him, is it him or is it any dragon? Yeah, when he attacks, you could definitely use his ability to goad something, and goad is definitely very helpful. So if your opponent's got like a big creature, say your opponent's also playing Ur Dragon or another big scary creature, you could just swing with him, be like, nah, you stay away from me. I'm gonna go with him, and you're gonna go after this person instead of me. And since you're gonna be tapped with them, I'm gonna try and kill you next turn. So again, not terrible. Goading something is definitely helpful, even decks like dragons, but doesn't always get around the job. But it's nice to have him around. And next up we have Thundermane Dragon. I absolutely love this card. I was a little iffy about him at first, but after some further test playing, I'm definitely glad I got him in the deck now. What he does is, as long as he's facing on the battlefield, you can look at the top card of your library at any time, so free information if you need information. And he also has the ability of, if you have a creature on top of your library whose power is 4 or greater, you can cast that creature as long as you spend a mana normally, and that creature brought up thanks to him will gain haste. So imagine you brought a Scion Ur Dragon, a Urani, a Tarka Woolrender or a Skithrix. Hey, Sorry for Kid, how you doing? We're doing a stream today, and a deck profile stream, and it's gonna be on YouTube. Say hi. So we can definitely, you can bring out Urini, like I said, Skithrix, some really big dragons right out of nowhere. Give your opponent scares, and just get some free value out of him as well, which is cool. And next dragon we're definitely playing. I absolutely fell in love with this card. I've stolen so many games because of this guy alone, especially when he works with the Earth Dragon. We have Twin Flame Dragon. I love this guy. Twin Flame Dragon, for those guys who don't know, he's a 3/5. Normally costs 5 mana, but obviously Earth Dragon makes 4. So his stats kind of aren't the greatest, but his ability more than makes up for it. Whenever a source of yours would deal any type of damage, it would deal double damage. So for example, if you bring out the Dragon, if you pump him up by at least 1 power or so, and then you swing with the Dragon after he has at least 1 power up, next to your Twin Flame, your Dragon will deal double damage. So that means you've given him at least 1 power. Let's say you give him up to 11, you swing with him, that's 22 commander damage straight to your opponent's face, and you automatically kill that opponent. I've stolen so many games with this combo, and I've made so many people pissed doing that. It is the funniest thing ever when you pull it off. And hello guys, how you doing? If I don't respond to you guys' comments, say hi to YouTube, because this is definitely going to be YouTube. I think I have chat on. No, I do not have chat on. I apologize. But anyways, and next up, yep, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy. I am that guy. Skithrix the Blight Dragon. Taste the lingo, mother suckers. So, obviously, everyone knows what he does, but for those guys who don't know, he has Flying, Infect, tap a black, give him haste, tap 2 black to regenerate him if he would be destroyed. He's only 4 power, but with the right setup and the right boosting, you could definitely one-shot someone right out of the bat with Skithrix to kill someone by Infect right here. I was playing Take the Strike and Tribe of the Herds in this deck for a longest while. I haven't been using them in a while, but when I did use them, it was lots of fun. But there were times where I had to be forced to discard them because of other reasons. So because of that, I did end up taking those cards out of the deck. But I still kept the 1 Infect Dragon in the deck for that right setup. And even if you don't pump it up to 10 plus power to kill your opponent, or so, as long as you can get like a nice amount of damage on your opponent, say like you have a Tarka Woolrender to give him double strike, and then next turn you can attack your opponent, kill for Infect. That works too. I have won a few games doing that right here, but occasionally you want to wait until you have the right setup. Typically, you want to wait until you have like a Tarka Woolrender, some other effect that's allowing you to increase your power, and anything related to such. So you don't really want to bring out your Skithrix right off the bat unless you have a certain specific reason, because obviously the second they see an Infect Dragon, they're going to be like, nope, kill this guy, kill Christian, kill, kill. And you don't want to give yourself away too badly if you want to. But when he does pop off, he pops off good, and it is so satisfying when you can pop off the Skithrix with the Infect. And new card I'm kind of testing out a little bit. I might take it out down the road. I'm playing Shadowrick Silverquill. It's a new dragon I'm kind of messing with right here. He has Flying, Double Strike. His ability is, at the beginning of your combat of your turn, you may choose two modes, must target a different player. So unfortunately, you can't target both of these at once. You have to at least give one of your opponents one of the benefits. Benefits are target player creates a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card, loses 1 life. Target player puts +1/+1 counters on each creature they control. So I am probably going to take out this card down the road. I like it. I did pull off some nice shifting combos with him recently, actually. There were times where I comboed him off with Unrivaled Agents a couple times, and I was able to get a lot of mana with him because of that combo, thanks to having our Inkling and giving myself counters. But aside from that, there are awkward situations where you are unfortunately forced to give your opponent some sort of benefit. Like, it's not terrible. If you have the right setup, if you have the right things going on, the free gift to your opponent isn't always the worst, especially if you choose the +1 counters to one of your opponents when your opponent has no creatures at all. It's funny when you do that, but eventually when your opponent see what benefits you could potentially give your opponents, they're going to eventually bring on creatures, so that way when you do the counter thing, you are going to be forced to do counters or something like such. And unfortunately down the road, you are going to have to give them some sort of benefit that will hurt you. But if you combo with them, off with him, he definitely is worth it. But I don't know, maybe I'll take him out down the road, we'll see. And next up, we have some Burn Dragons stuff. We have Terror of the Peaks and Scourge of Falcus. Love these guys right here. They get the job done just fine. He says whenever a dragon enters, you burn damage to any target equal how many dragons you control, and Terror just says whenever a creature enters, you burn something equal that creature's power. So obviously when in the early game, Terror of the Peaks is obviously much better. He's definitely much better if you don't have too many dragons yet. But when you do say get like a lot of dragons going, that's when Scourge becomes better. And when you do, but just in general, when you have them both together, you could just sit there and be like, burn, baby, burn. This world's on fire. And it's just really fun when you pop off with their burning abilities. And then for the mana ramping dragons, I called this. We have the old knob bone, as I mentioned. We also have a gold span dragon, ancient copper dragon, and we have unrivaled ancients. Just great dragons, help you get more treasures, more mana, so you could definitely be able to drop more dragons, all that such. I'm gonna say this right now, I don't have it. Is there a black dragon? I'm about to answer that question actually. I don't play ancient black dragon. Oh, no, sorry, ancient. I don't play the other ancient dragons. I don't play silver. I don't play copper, all that such right now. I was for a short bit, but unlike the majority of dragons you may have saw, and unlike Copper Dragon, who is only 6 mana, now 5 thanks to Dragon, the other dragons are ironically a lot more expensive, and you want to reserve your mana space for like your more cheaper dragons that will get the job done just fine. Unfortunately, they are worth it. I do like them. Every now and then I do sometimes put them back in when I'm just messing around with things, but what they're worth, how much mana they cost to be brought up, even with the Dragon being the reducing of all that, unfortunately they do take up a lot more space and don't get the job done as well as you would think. So because of that, Ancient Copper is like the only ancient dragon of the 5 ancient dragons that I play right now at the moment. So yeah, they just get the job done as it is. And next up we have Hallowed Catacombs. Being able to drop your Dragon free of charge and giving him haste with the only downside of him coming back to your command zone is awesome. Yes, please. We have Dragon Lord Jamoka saying that my stuff cannot be countered, and saying that my opponent can't play spells during my turn when I'm playing big dragons and I'm trying to bring out my dragons. Yes, dang, please. We don't have any recursion except for like maybe 2 cards besides the Rosada Claw you saw earlier. But the recursion is nice when it comes up. But again, I don't really rely on it. But one of the 3 I do use for recursion is not only the Rosada Claw, but I also use Teneb the Harvester. Like I said, you don't really care about harvesting. If you do lose a dragon, it's not always the end of the world. But if you have the right setup and the right opportunity, having the ability to bring back a dragon, especially if it's one of your more important dragons, is definitely very helpful. So losing something like a Scion, losing something like a Twin Flame, and losing something like a Marion or Urani will definitely hurt this deck sometimes, I won't lie. And having the ability to just bring those dragons back is definitely very helpful. Plus, one thing I will do sometimes with Teneb, and I'll to throw my opponent off, say my Dragon dies, I will sometimes let my Dragon die. Let's say my opponent has like a what can I say, for example, Assassin's Trophy. They Assassin's Trophy my Dragon, and then instead of letting my Dragon go back to the command zone, I'll put him in my graveyard, and all 3 of my opponents will look at me and be like, wait, why would you do that? and then I'll be like, swing with Teneb, Teneb dealt counter damage, use Teneb's ability, pay 3 mana instead of 11, get my Ur Dragon back on the battlefield as if nothing happened. And my opponents are just look at me and be like, well, we're fucked. It's funny when that happens. I mean, it is nice that he can bring back other creatures. It hasn't happened that often. A lot of times I use his ability to bring back my dragons more oftenly, but there are rare occasions where if my opponent has a really good creature I want to snipe out and use it against them, I'll do it. But again, occasionally I'll use Deneb's ability to bring back my dragons, if that comes up. And next we have the Miriam Set to the Worm, double dragons. I'm actually making a commander deck with him as commander too, and he is fun when you get him rolling. And even this deck, he gets fun. Because having 2 Ur Dragons, yes please. Having 2 Scions, yes please. Having 2 Eurydice, yes please. Having 2 Terror Peaks or 2 Scourge of Valkis, yes please. Having 2 Ancient Coppers, you get the gist. Double copied by dragons, and he just gets out of hand really quickly. Eurydice, I absolutely love this card. Ever since this card first came out, I have fallen head over heels of this dragon right here. Whenever you attack with him, or when he ETBs, you can look at the top 8 cards of your library, put a dragon among those 8 cards, and play that dragon. So you have, and what's even funnier is if you give him haste, you can potentially drop 2 dragons with his ability. So just be like, say you have Dragon Tempest, I will give him haste. You play your Eurydice, and then get like 1 dragon out of your deck, and then go to combat, swing Eurydice because he has haste, thanks to your Dragon Tempest, get out another dragon out of him, and he can just get out of hand really quickly. It's so funny. And then we are playing a little bit of a token dragon engine. We have 1 Yurtvera Hellkite and 1 Lathyrus. Yurtvera is like the only dragon that costs more than 7 mana that I will play with this deck right now at the moment. He gets the job done as it is, especially when you go out with Scion. But a lot of times he does end up getting discarded, I won't lie. But when you do drop him, he becomes loads of fun because you just make more dragons that can give you like more bodies to protect you, and just in general just make more dragon tokens. You couple out with your Dragon Tempest, your Scourge of Valkis, all that crazy good such. He is just fun. And then the last of the remaining dragons, we have 1 Ojutai Soul of Winter to stun out some of your opponent's important creatures. The Atarka Willrender, I kept saying multiple times, give your attacking dragons double strike. Silumgar to Driven Death, make your opponent's loot creatures be -1/-1 for every attacking dragon you control. Now, there is a quick ruling I do want to remind you guys, and I will admit I've almost made this mistake a couple times myself. Now, remember, in order for your opponent's creatures to be reduced or stunned by these 2 guys right here, you have to specifically attack those specific opponents. So, for example, if let's say I attack Drifting Guard with player 1, and I attack player 2 with Ojutai. I know he has villages, but barely. Say if I attack one player with this guy, and I attack another player with this guy, Silumgar will only -1/-1 that specific player, while Ojutai will only stun the creatures that involve that creatures. So I can't go use Ojutai's ability to stun that player's creatures, and this guy's ability, both my players' creatures get -1/-1. No, it does not work that way. You have to be specifically attacking that specific player for these dragons to hit the right people. And it's not just your dragons, and it's not just these specific dragons. So for example, say you have Tarkar Worldrender, you can have like let's say your opponent's got a board full of 2/2s and that's it. You can have these guys attack together and attack into those creatures, and those creatures will get -2s, but Ojutai will only stun up one of the creatures he's attacking. And if you want to stun 2 creatures of that player controls, you would have to swing with, again, this is just for example, you would have to swing with Atarka with Ojutai to get your 2 stun creatures, while your Silumgar can only -1 those players' creatures. That makes sense. So just want to point that out because I have seen people make that mistake, and I will confess and admit that I've almost made that mistake myself until I corrected myself. So yeah, just want to at least point that out. And the last dragon I want to end before we get to the rest of the profile. My all-time favorite dragon that's nearest dear to my heart the most. I have a personal attachment story with the dragon right here. Balefire Dragon. I absolutely love this card. This is like my Red Eyes Black Dragon when it comes to Magic. This is like Kaiba's Blue Eyes White Dragon to me, if that makes sense to you guys. When I first got into Magic, all the way 2012, 2013-ish or so, I don't remember the exact year, bear with me please. Balefire Dragon was the first dragon card I ever played in my deck. When I played Modern back in those days, this was the first card I collected or got to build my first ever Magic deck. And to this day, I've always made a target goal to always put this guy in every dragon deck I play when it comes to Magic, whether it's Modern or Commander. And I'm happy that I can put this guy in this deck right here because he is an overall great card. For those guys who don't know what he does, is whenever the Balefire Dragon deals combat damage to a player, he deals that much damage to all that player's creatures. Not all creatures. So going back to what I said with Ojutai, you can't be like, I attack player 1 and then use this guy's ability to kill not only player 1's creatures, but kill player 2, player 3's creatures. No, it does not work that way. You, just like what I explained, you have to resolve it with that specific player. But he gets the job done. He is an absolute one-sided board wipe by himself. And he combos up with a Sign of the Earth Dragon. If you power him up with power-up cards, you can do more damage. He can just get out of hand so quickly. And every time I pop off a Balefire Dragon's ability, I always smile because it just brings me back to nothing but pure nostalgia every time I would pop off with Balefire Dragon back when I first got into Magic and everything. It's so awesome. And that is it, dudes. That is finally it for the creatures, and that is it for the dragons. Now for the rest of the decks. Now before we get to the artifacts, we do have a small ramp package. Not a big one, but small ones I mentioned earlier during the land section. We have the 3 visits, Farseek, and Nature's Lure. This is why I mentioned that I thought about playing Rampant Growth, but these are pretty good as it is. These will help you get your lands to the battlefield. More likely you'll be using these to get your Triumph lands. This will help you speed up your deck more faster and help you potentially get your dragons out faster. I don't know, maybe I'll put in, by the way, this is bracket 3, I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video. This deck is more geared towards bracket 3, bracket 2, well, more likely bracket 3. So I only have 3 game changers in the deck. I don't have a lot. I do want to bump this up to bracket 4, running like a bracket 4 Ur Dragon. I've seen some people do that, but right now at the moment, this deck is more geared towards bracket 3. I only have 3 game changers. When I play with my friends, when they play like bracket 2, I will take out my game changers to make it a fair game and such, because that's not how I roll. At my locals, we do have a rule where we play bracket 2.5. It's not really a real bracket. It's just what they're calling it. Bracket 2.5 is where how they ruled it. It's same rules as bracket 2, but only except you're allowed 1 game changer and you're allowed heuristic studies, because someone won a tournament and they got to choose what would be all the game changer list for that specific locals. And that friend of mine, shout out to him, he's awesome. He chose heuristic studies to be off the game changers just for our locals. And wow. So every time we would enter that tournament, we could have 1 game changer and heuristic studies. Everything else has to be no game changer, if that makes sense. But a lot of times, other than that, when I'm not in the tournament, this deck will be more geared towards bracket 3. But when I enter said tournament, I will take out I'll take out heuristic studies and 1 of my game changers just to make this as a fair tournament. So if that fair legal deck for that tournament. But anyways, back to the artifacts. Meant to say, we have the Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Farewell Stone. No explanation why they're in here. Dragon's Horde. This is a dragon deck. You want to be able to ramp out your mana as soon as you can, and this also acts as a utility draw card too. We play 1 Hallowed Harem. Drop your dragons and give your dragons trample and draw a card. They do combat damage. Definitely very helpful. We also have 1 Orbital Dragonkind, which allows you to be able to drop your dragons like easier. And we have a Orbital Dragon kind right here. Another kind, similar Orbital Dragon kind. It's not as good as the other ones right here, but I do like it because it also, if it's used to spend to cast a dragon creature spell, it does give that dragon haste. So if you don't have your Dragon Tempest, if you don't have your haste enabler cards, this is like another way to be able to give your dragons haste. So this combos off with something like Urani pretty well, or your Hellkite Charger. Play this, bring out your Hellkite Charger or your Urani, and go from there. And also keep in mind, while it does specifically tap for red, it does say any dragon that is used to be cast by this card right here will gain haste. So for example, you play this with like Skithiryx or Ojutai or Silumgar, even though they don't have red in their color devotion thing, since you're using this to pay for the colorless and you're using this to bring out a dragon, that dragon will still gain haste, and you can immediately combo off with that dragon if need to be. So it's definitely a very great card of that aspect. And that is it for the artifacts. We do have a small tutor engine, not a big one. We have one Lettermir's Call. I was playing Sarkhan's Triumph. I love Sarkhan's Triumph. I kind of really wish I would have used that card for flavor text, but it costs 3 mana, and that card specifically brings up search your deck life for dragons only. Yes, this is a dragon deck, and obviously you would typically want to play dragons, but there are rare occasions where you do want to grab out something else, and this card right here does say any creature. So oftenly you're going to use it to bring out your search of dragons, but you do have a nice utility to search out non-dragons if need be, and it is 1 mana less than Sarkhan's Triumph. So unfortunately, for efficiency reasons, it is smarter to play this over Sarkhan's Triumph. Should I use Sarkhan's Triumph? Probably not. Do I love this card? Do I want to use it? Unfortunately, yes. And the last of the tutor engine, we have one of the 3 game changers I mentioned, Demotic Tutor. Search for any dragon. Search for any card you need. No explanation with that card. It's a game changer for a reason. And then for the enchantment section, the last 2 enchantments we play, the Smother and Tithe and Heuristic Studies. We obviously know what Heuristic Studies do, and we obviously know what Smother and Tithe do, because these cards are too good. These are my 3 game changers I use in my deck right here. If I ever enter the tournament that I mentioned earlier, I will occasionally take out the Demonic Tutor, and I will maybe put in Sarkhan's Triumph. That is what I occasionally do sometimes. But if I'm playing bracket 2 or 3, I will have this card over Sarkhan's Triumph. But if I go to bracket 2, that's when I start putting in Sarkhan's Triumph. And the rest of the enchantments, we have the Dragon Tempest. No explanation why this is here. Jetmir Ascendancy. Give your creatures haste, and you drop a creature with 4 greater power. You're playing dragons, so you're obviously gonna get that. So you're gonna draw your deck pretty well. And then Shadow to Draken. I've taken his advice about using this cool card right here. Frostcliff Siege. This card is actually super awesome. Those guys who don't know what this card does, when you cast this card, you declare either Jeskai or Temir. If you declare Temir or Jeskai, whenever one or more creatures you control deals common damage to player, draw a card. Or if you declare Temir, creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample and haste. So typically you want to play Temir. Be able to give your dragons more haste, and as I mentioned earlier with Skithiryx, it does give you another way to give your dragons more power, do more damage. So a good combo with this card right here, as I mentioned with Skithiryx earlier, you could just have a target will render, and assuming you declare Temir, you have a target world render, and where the heck is he? There he is. You have Skithiryx out together. Skithiryx will have 5 power. Assuming you declare Jetmir, Skithiryx will have 5 power thanks to the enchantment, and then a target will give your Skithiryx double strike. So right there with this setup alone, boom, you have your one-shot kill with your Skithiryx right there. And like I said earlier, it is so satisfying. It is so satisfying when you pull off the one-shot kill with the Skithiryx. It's like the funniest thing ever. And the reactions on my opponent's faces when that happens, they just go, "What the fuck is this?" It's so funny. And then we have one Fires of Yamamaya. What's that one enchantment called? It pretty much gives your creatures riot and it makes your creatures uncountable. I don't have that card yet. I will be definitely taking that card, Fires of Yamamaya, out when I get that card. But Fires of Yamamaya does get a job pretty good as well. Unlike that enchantment, it only says your non-token creatures will gain haste or +1/+1. So since I am also using tokens a little bit, that's why I use Fires of Yamamaya, because Fires of Yamamaya gives all my creatures haste, but giving my creatures the ability to be uncountable is definitely very, very useful. So down the road, I will be taking out that enchantment. Once I get my hands on that set of enchantment, I will be taking out Fires of Yamamaya for it, but it's definitely not terrible. It does get the job done as it is. It's fine. And then we have one Muriel's Wake. Make my lands tap for double colors. Plus, like Frost Chief, it is another way to power up my creatures. So again, Kabbalah will skip the Ricks and Tark will render, one-shot kill people. Beanstalk, because we're playing a lot of big dudes, so we're obviously going to be drawing quite a bit of stuff. And last but not least, we have one Garrick's Uprising. Give my creatures trample and be able to let me draw more stuff as my dragons do my dragon things. Absolutely love these cards in the deck right here. They all work so well in this deck right here. And then finally, to wrap up the rest of the deck, we have what I call the interaction section, if that makes sense. That way, if I have like if there's a kill on-site card my opponent plays, I have these cards ready for that, if that makes sense. So we have one Assassin's Trophy and one Swords of Plowshares. No explanation why these cards in there are in deck 4. I do want to use Path of Exile. I did take it out for like the next card about to show because I did value protection more. I felt that my dragons did the job well as it is, so I didn't always feel that a Path of Exile was really that necessarily. But I don't know, maybe I'll put it back in, maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. And then this is the card I took out Path of Exile for. This is what my other interaction stuff. This is where I say my opponent can't do stuff, if that makes sense. Heroic Intervention, because give my dragons indestructible and hexproof till end of turn. Yes, please, especially in a pinch. And then we are playing some counter spells, not a lot, just a small amount of counter spells. We also have Stubborn Denial, love this card in a dragon deck, and Offer You Can't Refuse. I might take out Offer You Can't Refuse for Mana Drain. I actually didn't know that Mana Drain was not considered a game changer. My jaw dropped when I realized that Mana Drain is not a game changer. So maybe down the road, I might take out Offer You Can't Refuse for Mana Drain. Maybe, we'll see what happens, and I think that will be a lot more helpful than this card right here, because I don't feel like giving my opponent treasures. I'd rather counter my opponent's stuff and give myself more mana, if that makes sense. But Offer You Can't Refuse is definitely not terrible. It's definitely not the worst thing ever. And then for like some board wipe stuff, we have Crooks of Fate. You're playing dragons, so obviously you're going to declare destroy all non-dragons, right? That's why you choose destroy. Yeah, destroy all non-dragons. So there was a few non-dragons this card will hurt too, unfortunately, like Birds, Blue Goliath Halfling, and your Sarkhan, unfortunately. But if your Sarkhan does turn into a dragon, because Sarkhan Soul Flame, if I remember correctly, let me go back to him. I think he says he becomes a dragon, right? Yes, he becomes a copy of that dragon. So he becomes a copy of that card, with the only difference is his name is still Sarkhan Soul Flame. So, wow, I can't believe I had a hard read right there just to remind myself. Sorry about that. So if you do card cast a dragon and you play, before playing this card, you will turn Sarkhan into a dragon, so you can drop this afterwards, and then you don't have to worry about your Sarkhan Soul Flame being killed. Nice little food for thought if that happens. But obviously, you're playing dragons, so you're typically going to use this to kill everything that's not a dragon. And then Farewell, in case that we need more board wipe stuff. Yeah, too good to pass up. Love this card to death. there's a reason why it's hated by a lot of people for a reason, and there's a reason why people want this card to be a game changer list for a reason, because it does too much. And last but not least, to finally wrap up the entire deck profile, as I mentioned with the Neb and Group Call earlier, I am playing a small recursion engine, but not a lot. But this is a card that I do like playing this deck right here. I haven't used it yet, but it's really good. It's called Patchwork Bidding. So what this card does is when you first cast this card right here, each player declares a creature type, and all players may bring those creatures of the chosen type from their own graveyards into their own battlefield. So you're playing Dragon Tribal, and as I mentioned earlier, it combos off with Scion the Ur Dragon really well, because you can just use Scion's ability. You keep dumping your dragons in the graveyard. You eventually get like a crap ton of your dragon's graveyard, and obviously your opponents hate dragons, so they're gonna want to kill your dragons. And once you get like a crap ton of dragons in your graveyard, you just go boom, play Bidding, and just bring all those dragons back as well, out of nowhere. And what's even funnier is that you have Scourge or Terror of the Peaks in graveyard. When you play this card, and then you all of a sudden bring those guys back, you just like burn your opponents to the ground out of sight. It's just really crazy, and really funny how you can combo all of this card at times. And yeah, everybody, that was the full 99 and the full deck profile of my bracket 3 Ur Dragon deck profile. It's not perfect. There's still some changes I want to do with the deck, but for what it's been doing for a bracket 3 deck, I am very impressed with it. I'm very proud of what it does. It never fails to perform, to impress me. It never fails to impress my friends. It never fails to impress other people, and I just love popping off this card right here. So it's not something I don't want to do for content for YouTube. If you guys want to see more of that, I'll definitely show you guys a deck profile of decks of my Dogmeat deck, my Traxa deck, my Koval deck, and my Miriam deck right here. And I'm really excited, dudes. I'm hoping you guys like this profile right here. I'm really hoping that you guys enjoy this deck profile for the most part. If you guys will give me any type of feedback of what you guys think this deck needs to improve, I am welcome. I am always open for feedback. You guys are always more than welcome to give me criticism. I definitely allow it. Just try to be a little bit subtle, please. Just don't be like, your deck sucks or nothing. None of that, please. I would really appreciate if you don't do nothing like that. Just constructive criticism, and just tell me what you think my deck needs to improve. Because I don't mind looking for advice what to do the deck needs to improve. And that goes same with other future deck profiles I do. So yeah, guys, my first ever Commander deck profile on my channel. So hope you guys like the profile right here. I really hope you guys are looking forward to more content like this. Again, we're still going to do shiny hunts. We're still going to do Let's Plays. And for those of you guys who are watching this on my YouTube channel, especially if you guys are new here, I am a lot more active on Twitch. So if you guys want to say hi to me as I'm streaming on Twitch, as I'm playing Hollow Knight, Pokemon, Resident Evil, Spiral the Dragon, all that such, come on board, please. I would definitely love to have you around. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys around. And I'm out. Bye, peace, and I love yous.